Hi everybody, I'm going to give you a quick key to teach proportional reasoning for problem solving to adult learners. The key is to use 4 questions that guide the learner while they're solving problems. What this will do is it'll give the learner a map to solve problems and also provide multiple opportunities for them to be successful. We'll quickly look at the questions here and then we'll work through a problem as an example. So question number 1 for learners is, does this problem contain a proportion? Number 2, which 2 quantities have a fixed relationship? Number 3, what is the relationship? And number 4, how do I use the relationship to solve the problem? And the idea is you present learners with these and they use these all the time whenever they encounter a proportional problem. So let's have a look at how this might work as an example. Now I've used a really hard question here just to keep you on your toes and to keep you thinking. So here's the question. For every 2 cars Frank cleans, Jill cleans 3. Altogether, they clean 30 cars. How many cars does Frank clean? Now, just pause this for a moment and have a quick think about what the answer might be. Okay, if you're like most people, you'll be having difficulties with this. That's perfect. Let's use these questions to guide our thinking. So question number 1, does this problem contain a proportion? Is this actually a proportional problem? Let's see. For every 2 cars Frank cleans, Jill cleans 3. Now that means for every 2 cars that Frank cleans, Jill cleans 3, and that never ever changes. That just seems to be a standard, fixed relationship. So we can say that yes, there is a proportion within this problem. Number 2, which 2 quantities have a fixed relationship? Well, let's see. For every 2 cars, Frank cleans 3. So the 2 quantities are 2 to 3. So the idea is, if learners are working through a problem like that, they have been successful. First of all, they've clearly identified that it is a proportional problem. And number 2, they've identified the 2 numbers. Success. You've got to celebrate success, right? So if you got that far, that's fantastic stuff. That's really good. Now let's move on to number 3. What is the relationship? What are the 2 numbers that have a relationship? And what is that relationship? Let's see. For every 2 cars, so that's 2, Jill cleans 3. So the relationship is 2 to 3. For every 2, 3. That sort of thing. So that's it. So success. You've identified that it is a proportional problem. There is a fixed relationship. And what is that fixed relationship? It's 2 to 3. And what is the relationship? Same thing. 2 to 3. Right there. Now, how do I use the relationship of 2 to 3 to solve the problem? So that's usually what we rush to straight away. But let's get some success. You've answered those 3. Well done. Now, how do we use a 2 to 3 ratio to figure this thing out? We know that altogether, the 2 of them clean 30 cars, and we want to know how many cars does Frank clean. So if we work out how many Jill cleans, it'll still tell us Frank's number and so on. So let's have a look at a couple of options. Well, number 1 is simply to make a table, Draw a table up in the class or get learners to do this and just work through it. So first row, I should say, for every 2, Jill does 3, and that's 5 in total. And that means for every 4, Jill does 6, and that's 10 in total. So we're just doubling it, For every 8, Jill does 12, that's 20. So we're getting closer to 30, aren't we? I mean, you can probably use that to work it out if you were really clever. We've got a total of 10 and a total of 20, and altogether 10 plus 20 equals 30. So you could probably work it out from that what the answer is. So that's one way of doing it, a really simple way. Just get learners to start from the bottom and work their way up. And always start easy, Start at the bottom, just work your way up. And of course, celebrate engagement and tough thinking. Always celebrate, if you've managed to get that, you're onto a winner. That's great, great work. Let's think about another way we could solve this problem. Well, we could just draw like a graph, or a bit of a diagram on the whiteboard, or learners could do this. There's 30 cars in a day, they do 30 cars together. So let's think about a set of 5. We know that for every 5, Frank does 2, that's the red ones, and Jill does 3. So out of every 5, Jill does 3, Frank does 2. So the question would be, how many 5s are there in 30? And we could just break that up. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sets of 5 in 30. And for every 5, Frank does 2, Jill does 3, so we could just put them in. So all the red ones are Frankie, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and all the green ones are Jill all the way up to 30. So those diagrams are really useful ways of doing it as well. So that's it. 4 questions that you can write on the board or you can give to learners to work through. And remember, guys, celebrate success. This is hard stuff. You know, being able to solve these is awesome. Celebrate success. Well done.